Hello lovely people, so today for you I have a book haul. My 24th birthday recently happened and I got some more books and I finally have enough to share the spoils that I've been holding on to for the past, I don't know, couple months at this point. When was the last time I filled a book haul? Probably Christmas, but anyway. So in the past few months I've managed to accumulate 10 books and now I shall share them with you. The first three are books I was able to get from Penguin. The first one is The Better Side of Sweet by Tara Sullivan. It is a YA novel, as the other two are, and this is about two brothers who are currently in the Ivory Coast in Africa, and they are basically slaves, maybe say indentured servants on this plantation, and they have to collect cacao seeds to eventually buy their freedom. They're living this rough life, just trying to survive, and then this girl comes, and she's the first girl that has ever been to this place, and they're able to work together with her and make some changes in their lives, as far as I can see. Maybe get out of the difficult situation that they're currently in. It just sounds like just such a different YA book from the kind of stuff that we seem to get nowadays, so it really piqued my interest and hopefully it turns out to be a solid book. The next book I received was Exit Pursued by a Bear by E.K. Johnson, and this one is about Hermione, and it's not Hermione Granger, it's a different Hermione, so it'll take me a little bit to kind of, think about that and be like, this is not the Hermione that you always think of. But anyway, her name is Hermione. She is a cheerleader on her school's team, and it's sort of the end of her high school career. It's supposed to be a great year, and she goes to this party and she ends up getting roofied, and then she gets raped. And of course, as somebody who is part of this popular cheerleading crowd to then be raped, she sort of becomes this social outcast in a way. And from what I can tell, it seems like it's going to follow the rest of her year in school and how she deals with the fact that she was raped, and also about her relationship with her best friend Polly and how the two of them help each other through the situation. This is a pretty intense subject, so I'm interested to see how that is written, but I also really want to see just a strong female relationship, and hopefully that will play out well in this book. The final book I have from Penguin is Where Futures End by Parker P.V. House. This is also a bit different. It's science fiction, and it sounds really cool, but maybe really weird. Basically, we follow 5 different characters who are somehow interconnected, and normally that's not a big deal, maybe they meet each other, something like that. No, these guys all live during different times. So we follow the first character who lives a year from now, so it's sort of in the not too distant future, and then 10 years, and then so on and so forth up to 100 years. And somehow these 5 people are all interconnected, and that final person, 100 years in the future is the one who sort of reveals it and brings it all together. The little blurb on the cover says one of the most ambitious YA novels I've ever read, and just from what I've read on the inside flap, it certainly does sound ambitious. Should be a good one. This one is a book that I received for my birthday thanks to my boyfriend. He got me Butterfield 8 by John O'Hara. This is one of the Penguin drop cap books, so I'll let you take a look there and admire it a little bit. And got some nice blue pages. He knows I like these. He gave me 2 other ones that I own, and I've never heard of Butterfield 8, but when I was looking it up, I realized that it's actually pretty famous. So the book was published in the 1930s, and it's inspired by true events in New York. I think some woman's body washed up on the shore, and John O'Hara was a reporter, and so he kind of took that idea of what happened to this woman that she's washed up on the shore and maybe what was her life like during this time. He created this book out of it. So it follows this woman who has an affair with this man and sort of life after the Great Depression and how people are living now. It was made into a movie, I guess, with Elizabeth Taylor. Never seen that either. But it's apparently really well loved, but I know for sure that I really do like this cover. It's a really cool way to do the O for O'Hara. The rest of the books were all purchases from Amazon thanks to, awesome gift cards that people usually get for their birthdays. The first book that I got from Amazon is Just Mercy by Brian Stevenson. Now, Jenny from Adultish Books absolutely loves this, but I've heard, buzz about it in other places as well, and so I finally decided, yeah, it's really worth picking up because A, it's nonfiction, and I love nonfiction, and B, the topic sounds really awesome. So it's about Brian Stevenson. He's an attorney, and he funded the Equal Justice Initiative, and it was a legal practice to defend those who are poor, wrongly condemned, just sort of got the shitty end of the stick, basically, and he's trying to defend them and help them turn their lives around. And in the process, he figures out just how messed up the justice system is and how it really doesn't work for a lot of people, depending on who you are and where you come from. And so I think this will be a very, very interesting book, but I have a feeling it will also be very maddening. The next book I got was Girl at War by Sarah Novick. I am a sucker for war stories, but this one is on a war that I haven't read much about, and that is the Yugoslavian Civil War that happened back in the 90s. This follows Anna, who was living in what is now modern-day Croatia, at the time Yugoslavia, and she was there when the war broke out. And it focuses on that time period as well as 10 years later when she's now living in the United States. And so this book starts in 1991, and then 10 years later, Anna is living in Manhattan. And 10 years later is 2001, and I think we can all remember what happened in 2001 in New York City. So that'll be really interesting to kind of see this war that she experienced in Croatia and what she remembers from that versus what happens in 2001, and then she also does journey back to Croatia during this book. I have a feeling all of those things will kind of wrap together into a very, very interesting story. Next, I have When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi, and this one has pretty recently come out, and it intrigued me so much that I paid big money for the hardcover, no paperback yet. This is a memoir about Paul and how he has been training all these years to become a neurosurgeon, only to find out after all of his training is done that he has stage 4 lung cancer. And that just sucks. I mean, to spend all this time training to help all these people become better, spend so much of your life preparing for something, and then, you know, you're married with a kid, and then to find out that you have stage 4 lung cancer when you're still very young. Not a spoiler at all, because it says it right in there. He did die in March of 2015 while working on this memoir. What's interesting about Paul is that he actually got a BA and an MA in English literature, and so, you know, neurosurgery was one of his loves, but this writing was his other love, and so this book was sort of the last thing that he really did, and so this is definitely going to pack a serious punch, but I'm really looking forward to reading it. Third to last, I have Redefining Realness by Janet Mock. This is another one that BookTube has influenced me to check out. So Janet Mock is actually transgender. She was born a boy, and this is her memoir about that time growing up and then sort of realizing and being able to become what she was supposed to be. We learn about what it's like growing up multiracial and poor, and obviously, you know, transgender is still a very controversial thing today. So when she's growing up, it's just as hard, if not harder, because she's really helped pave the way, it seems, for a lot of other transgendered individuals. So to read about her life and her struggles, the trials and tribulations, all those horrible people that I'm sure she had to deal with is going to be really interesting, and it's going to be a totally different perspective for me, because this is nothing like my life. So I really think I'll learn a lot of good things from it. Now, the last 2 books were on sale, so they were hardbacks that I got for $8. So I got On Immunity by Eula Bliss. This is a nonfiction book about vaccinations and immunizations and the sort of really interesting reactions that people have to this, especially right now with all of the anti-vaxxer stuff that's happening. And she looks at both sides and how people do what they do because they really just want to protect their families. They're either vaccinating them or not vaccinating them because of certain things that they believe. The great thing is it's very relevant, and I'm interested to see what I can learn and what I might take away from this. Maybe understand anti-vaxxers a little bit more, but yeah. We'll see. And then finally, the last book I have for you is The Queen of the Tierling by Erica Johansson. This is another one that's been pretty popular on BookTube, and it is a fantasy, a pretty hefty fantasy at that. It is about a princess who has been raised away from her kingdom after her mother, the queen, was killed, and how she has to go and claim her rightful throne, and then all of the challenges that come with not only doing that, but after you've claimed the throne. I feel like this is one of those books that if I had been younger, I would have jumped on it and read it immediately, but now that I'm a little bit older and my tastes have changed, I'm still interested. I'm just not as like, oh, I must read this right now. From what I understand about this, it is going to be a very quality trilogy, so I am very interested in reading it. Alright, that's everything. All my books. If you guys have read any of them, please let me know what you thought of them down below. And as I always like to do with all of my book hauls, just let me know which one you want me to read first, and whichever book gets the most votes, I will pick that up next. As always, all of the links are in the doobly-doo. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you later. When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Callan. I even practiced this. Learn and take away.